What's going on today, YouTube? Rob here. In today's video, I'm coming at you with another deck profile using 3 structure decks. This time, I'm using the Rokket Revolt structure deck to build this deck. I am thinking of maybe turning this into the Dragon Link deck, as it is one of the, if not the best deck of the format right now. And I hope you guys really enjoy. Again, you guys don't have to copy this deck, and this is just kind of what I came up with. But if you enjoy this content, be sure to leave a like and comment on what you might want to see next. Also, consider subscribing for more fun Yu-Gi-Oh videos. It really... Alright guys, let's get on with this triple structure deck of Rokket Revolt deck that I've come up with. So first off, we've got triple copies of Rokket Tracer. So quick effect, you can target one face-up card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon one Rokket monster from your deck, except Rokket Tracer. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except dark monsters. And you can only use this effect of Rokket Tracer once per turn. Next up, I've got 2 copies of Silver Rokket Dragon. When a Link monster's effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can destroy this card, then look at your opponent's extra deck and banish one card from it. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, or it was destroyed on the field by battle or card effect and sent there this turn, you can special summon one Rokket monster from your deck except Silver Rokket Dragon, and you can only use the effect of Silver Rokket Dragon once per turn. Next up, we've got the 1 copy of Shell Rokket Dragon. When a Link monster's effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can discard one card, then destroy one monster in the column that this card was in, and if you do, destroy any monsters that are in that card's adjacent zones. And during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can special summon one Rokket monster from your deck except Shell Rokket Dragon, and you can only use each effect of Shell Rokket Dragon once per turn. Next up, we've got the 1 copy of Absol Router Dragon. If you control a Rokket monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only special summon Absol Router Dragon once per turn this way. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Rokket monster from your deck to your hand, and you can only use this effect of Absol Router Dragon once per turn. Next up, we have 1 copy of Metal Rokket Dragon. When a Link monster's effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can destroy this card, then destroy all of your opponent's cards in the column that this card was in, and during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field by battle or card effect and sent there this turn, you can special summon one Rokket monster from your deck except Metal Rokket Dragon, and you can only use each effect of Metal Rokket Dragon once per turn. Next up, we have the 1 copy of Keeper of the Shrine. So this card can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a dragon monster, and while this card is in your hand or graveyard, if a face-up dragon monster on the field, except Keeper of the Shrine, is sent to the graveyard by a card effect or because it was destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card. Then, if that monster sent to the graveyard is a normal monster, you can add one dragon normal monster from your graveyard to your hand, and you can only use this effect of Keeper of the Shrine once per turn. Next up, we have 1 copy of Gateway Dragon. If your opponent controls a Link monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can only special summon Gateway Dragon once per turn this way. And once per turn, you can special summon one level 4 or lower dark dragon monster from your hand. Next up, we have the one copy of Rokket Synchron. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 5 or higher dark dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. Negate its effects and destroy it during the end phase. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except dark monsters. Next up, we have one copy of Exploder Rocket Dragon. When a Link monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can destroy this card, then each player takes 2,000 damage. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was destroyed on the field by battle or card effect and was sent there this turn, you can special summon one rocket monster from your deck except Exploder Rocket Dragon, and you can only use each effect of Exploder Rocket Dragon once per turn. Next up, we have one copy of Rocket Recharger. If a dark monster or monsters you control that was special summoned from the extra deck is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can send this card from your hand, field, or field to the graveyard, and then target one of those destroyed monsters and special summon one dark monster from your graveyard with a different name from the targeted monster. And you can only use this effect of Rocket Recharger once per turn, and while you control a dark monster special summoned from the extra deck, your opponent's monsters cannot target this card for attacks. Lastly, for our monsters, we have the one copy of Magna Rocket Dragon. When a Link monster's effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field, quick effect, you can destroy this card and then send one monster on the field to the graveyard. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was destroyed on the field by battle or card effect and sent there this turn, you can special summon one rocket monster from your deck except Magna Rocket Dragon, and you can only use each effect of Magna Rocket Dragon once per turn. And that's it for our monsters. Let's move on to our spells. So first up, we have triple copies of Boot Sector Launch. All rocket monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense, and you can activate one of these effects. You can either special summon up to 2 rocket monsters with different names from your hand in defense position. If your opponent controls more monsters than you, special summon rocket monsters with different names from your graveyard in defense position, and that is up to the difference. And you can only use this effect of Boot Sector Launch once per turn. Next up, we have triple copies of Return of the Dragon Lords, which allows you to target one level 7 or 8 dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it in special summon it. And if a dragon monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. And then we have triple copies of Twin Twisters, which allows you to discard a card, then target up to 2 Speller Traps on the field and destroy them. Next, we have 2 copies of Squib Draw. This allows you to target one rocket monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, draw 2 cards, and you can only activate 1 Squib Draw per turn. Next, we have 2 copies of Quick Launch. This lets you special summon one rocket monster from your deck, but it cannot attack and also destroy it during the end phase. Next, we have 1 copy of Dragon Shrine, which lets you send one dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if that monster is in your graveyard is a normal dragon monster, you can send one more dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can only activate 1 Dragon Shrine per turn. Next up, we have 1 copy of Rapid Trigger. This allows you to fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck by destroying fusion materials listed on it from your field, but it can only attack monsters special summoned from the extra deck, and also it is unaffected by activated effects from any other monsters special summoned from the extra deck, and you can only activate 1 Rapid Trigger per turn. Then we also have one copy of Polymerization, which allows you to fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And lastly, for spells, we have the one copy of Boral Supplier. During each standby phase, if you control a Boral Link monster, you can target one Rokket monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but destroy it during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Rokket Supplier or Boral Supplier once per turn. That's it for our spells. Let's move on to our traps. So to start off the traps, we have 2 copies of 0 Day Blaster. This lets you tribute one Dark Link monster, then target cards on the field equal to that's Link rating, and destroy them. Next up, we have 2 copies of Magic Cylinder. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Mirror Force, which allows you, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. We then have the 1 copy of Red Reboot, which allows you, when an opponent activates a trap card, negate the activation, and if you do, set that card face down. Then they can set one other trap directly from their deck. And for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent cannot activate trap cards, and you can activate this card from your hand by paying half your life points. Next up, we have the 1 copy of Mirror Force Launcher. Once per turn during your main phase, you can discard 1 monster and add 1 Mirror Force from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If this set card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can set this card from your graveyard and 1 Mirror Force from your hand, deck, or graveyard. They can both be activated this turn. And lastly, for our main deck and our traps, we have the 1 copy of Imperial Order. This lets you negate all spell effects on the field, and once per turn during the standby phase, you must pay 700 life points. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. That's it for our main deck. Let's move on to our extra deck really quick. So to start off, we have triple copies of Topologic Zeroboros. This requires 2+ effect monsters. You cannot summon or set monsters to any monster zone that this card points to. This gains 200 attack for each banished card, and if another monster is special summoned to a zone a link monster points to while this monster is on the field, banish all cards on the field. Once per turn during the standby phase of your next turn, either or after this card was banished by its own effect, special summon this banished card. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Quad Boral Dragon. This requires 2 dragon monsters, including a Rokket monster. So you can discard 1 card, then target 1 face-up monster on the field. You cannot special summon link 2 or lower monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. Also, destroy that targeted monster. Then, if it was a link monster, you can special summon any number of Rokket monsters with different names from your hand or graveyard up to its link rating, and you can only use this effect of Quad Boral Dragon once per turn. Next up, we have Triple Burst Dragon. This requires 2+ monsters except tokens. Once per turn, during the damage step, when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. During your main phase, except the turn that this card was special summoned, you contribute this card, then target 1 link 2 or lower monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Then you can special summon one level 4 or lower dragon monster from your hand. Next up, we have 2 copies of Borrowed Dragon. This requires 3+ effect monsters. Neither player can target this card with monster effects, and once per turn, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster on the field, and it loses 500 attack and defense. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can place that opponent's monster in a zone that this card points to and take control of it, but send it to the graveyard during the end phase of the next turn. Lastly, for our link monsters, we have 2 copies of Booster Dragon. This requires 2 Rokket monsters. Once per turn, you can target one other face-up monster on the field, and it gains 500 attack and defense. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect's activation. If this link summoned card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one other dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only use this effect of Booster Dragon once per turn. And lastly, for our extra deck, we have 2 copies of Borrowed Furious Dragon, which requires 2 dark dragon monsters. Quick effect, you can target one monster that you control and one card your opponent controls, destroy them. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one dark link monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. You can only use each effect of Borrowed Furious Dragon once per turn. What's going on today, YouTube? Rob here. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another triple structure deck profile for you. This time, we are using Rokket Revolt. I'm thinking of maybe turning this into Dragon Link, but this is a pretty good place to start, I find. And if you guys enjoy this deck profile, be sure to leave a like and be sure to comment on what you want to see next. Also, consider subscribing to the channel for more fun Yu-Gi-Oh videos, and try helping me reach my goal of 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it.